How's it going, my friends? So in the last video, we talked about some of the elements of what causes the world order to change. Now, I wanted to focus on one of those things, which was like education and innovation. And so one of the things you might be wondering is, how do I make sure that I'm insulated from a changing world order, like bulletproof, okay? And so something that always happens that causes a rival country to emerge as the new leader and the old world order to kind of crumble is that the rising world order has a high level of innovation. They're like on the cutting edge. They're reading, they're studying, they're experimenting, they're creating new technologies, things like that. So like the Dutch Empire, right? We're talking about like 500 years ago. What made them the world order is that they were awesome shipbuilders. So that when the whole world was ready to like start traveling and trading things with ships in a big way, they were light years ahead. Like they had the best shipbuilders, they had the best shipyards, they had the most experienced sailors, they knew the waters, right? And so like they were poised to explode and lead the world in this new technology, like the latest and greatest type of boat. Okay, and so then what made Great Britain, overtake them? Well, I mean, obviously there's periods of conflict and lots of factors and things, but Great Britain had this huge industrial revolution. They led it. They had the brightest minds on steam power, steam generation, factory building, mass production, things like that. And so they led this huge industrial revolution. Well, what made the United States so special? Well, think about when we became the global superpower, right? It was when we, after periods of high production, we developed like so forward, right, with the mass production of cars. You think of Alexander Graham Bell, you think of Thomas Edison. So they were like early 1900s, and so that set the stage. Those innovations and others, right, set the stage for post World War II, just continuing that innovation and growth into the 1960s when we're putting people on the moon, all that kind of stuff. And then let's not forget, like World War II, although the atomic bomb was extremely devastating, it was the United States who invented that, right? And so our research, from that came lots of research on nuclear energy and like particle physics and all this kind of stuff. So now, if you were to look at our innovation, although there's still plenty happening, it has slowed in relation to other countries. And the quality of our education, which is a precursor to how much innovation you have, right? Like the human capital element is slowing. And so how do you insulate you versus the changing world order? Well, stop watching Netflix, stop watching Hulu, get off the couch, read a book, go experiment, build something in your garage, build a little lab and tinker with something, right? Or go bigger than that. Like if you have access to greater capital, you're a business owner, you deal in different, you have dealings, you have business, well then ponder and think about how can you invest in the new, the cutting edge, how can you get involved in that scene? And there's a right and wrong way to do that, right? For some of you, it'll mean how to invest wisely in other people who are inventing things and developing technology, things like that, right? So I wanted to share that's a classic symptom of the losers in the changing world order versus the winners, is that the people who win have this ability to grow and innovate. So that's classic textbook. It's happening right now. There's been kind of a lag in innovation. It's still happening. It's still growing. Don't get me wrong. It's still on an upward decline. It's just not as fast as some of the competing countries and their innovations in technology. So humble yourself. If you're an American, sometimes we like to beat our chests and say, we're the smartest and greatest and invent the most stuff. And it's like, well, we used to be, but that's not always the case. And as long as you're prideful about it, you're always going to be at risk to not, thriving through the changing world order. So anyway, thanks for tuning in.